Meh. What's up, Doc?
Bugs, bring it here, man.
What brings you to Tonwa, Doc?
Hi, Malcolm D. Lee. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations on the film. It is really hilarious, and I believe you do the characters justice. So congratulations on that.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
What was it like directing this movie that is so much animated and so much live action combined? And that must have been a really interesting process for you, especially during a pandemic.
It was an interesting process. It was a real learning curve for me, because this is my first foray into this, type of filmmaking. But once I got over the kind of intimidation of what it would take to embrace, visual effects on this level and animation, I said, "Oh, okay, these are just, storytelling tools." I like telling stories. And fortunately, the 10 years, prior, and the 20 years of making movies prepared me for this moment to do it. So it was difficult, and it was a long process, but very rewarding one. I mean, we shot the bulk of the live action in the summer of 2019, before the pandemic. So, naturally, when you're doing a hybrid movie like this, where you're going into the animation and the visual effects, it naturally fit in that window of the pandemic. Now, we'd love to have been in person with one another, because that's where the best work happens. But, the technology was there, in front of and behind the camera, where we had to get on Zoom calls just like this.
Wow. It turned out amazing. You had a collaborative effort with LeBron in this, and his acting is so good. What was it like directing him and working with him?
LeBron's great. He really wanted the movie to be great. He wanted to be great in it. And, I don't think he understood, what it was going to take to be the lead of the movie. And he even admitted that. But, he never complained. He was always on time, and took his day job very seriously too. I mean, he'd be up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get his basketball workout on before he report to set.
Oh, wow.
Very determined to get back to championship form and, do a great job on this movie. And, he's very open to direction. He loves to be funny, loves to have a good time. So, and he always stuck around on set.
That's amazing. He was wonderful in Trainwreck, and whenever I saw him in that film, I was like, oh yeah, he can definitely carry a Space Jam movie. So
and
that's
a superhero. This guy is built like a, like I don't know what, but just like you could put him in Hancock, too.
I would watch that. I would watch that movie. You also got a really great and cartoony performance out of Don Cheadle in the best way. I was talking to Eric earlier, and he said that the Don Cheadle is his new favorite Looney Tune. What was it like directing Don Cheadle and working in this movie?
Fantastic. I mean, what a great opportunity to work with one of the best character actors ever. I've been wanting to work with Don since I was, came on the scene myself. After seeing him in Devil in the Blue Dress, I was like, this guy's, stole the show. So, Don, is a great collaborator, great actor, can do comedy. I even wanted him for Undercover Brother back in the day.
Oh, wow.
So he's can do comedy, he can do, emotion, he can do drama, and was able to bring that all to this character that wasn't always clear on the page. Algae Rhythm is kind of a, nebulous character. He's like, how do you define where he lives, who he is, what he does, what he's feeling? How do you humanize him? And, thank God we had Don Cheadle to be there to give this guy some grounding, but also do the manic stuff.
Yeah.
And
so manic. And
he's so great at doing it. Just being a wonderful, not only actor, but director, writer, producer himself. A wonderful, collaborator to be with on set.
I bet. You mentioned Undercover Brother. That's a film that I love, and that mayonnaise. I always Think of that sound effect used in that film. But that film is a really good comedy as well, and it has a lot of cartoonish elements to it, which is why whenever you were picked to do this, I felt that you had it in you to bring out the best out of the Looney Tunes. What is your history with Looney Tunes, and what was it about that franchise that you really wanted to inject in this movie?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, you would have been another person that would have been an advocate for me doing this movie, because I was like, should I do this? I don't know if I should do this. But thank you for saying that. I have a great history with the Looney Tunes. I mean, they were part of my childhood. I'd be up Saturday morning with a bowl of cereal, watching them in my living room, and until all hours, and so I love the Looney Tunes. They brought me a lot of joy as a kid. So I wanted to capture that aspect, make sure that I was true to those characters that brought me such joy in my childhood, and try to recapture them. And a lot of people try to say, well, hey, the Looney Tunes aren't like, people don't really know them these days. But like, well, I didn't know them when I was a kid either, until I did get to know them. And their comedy and their style of comedy, their different things are classic. And they're being used, by other, forms of comedians at this point. So, once you reintroduce them, I think that people will still embrace and love the Looney Tunes, as I did.
I think so too. And I think they're everlasting in a way that you tap into with the way that you talk about family, and how Bugs wants to bring all of them back for the camaraderie, the history of the Looney Tunes being together. And I think that's so endearing, and it paralleled the relationship that Dom had with his father and LeBron. And I thought that was masterfully done. What was it about that story that you wanted to tell and bring to cinemas?
Well, certainly, that was the backbone of the story for me. And what drew me to it the most was the relationship between LeBron and Dom. Being this father-son story, there was a disconnect between father and son. The teenager is starting to figure out who he is and what he likes and what his desires are. And it's different from what his father wants from him. And I think that's completely relatable. I certainly can relate to it. My kids, I'm raising 3 boys of my own, and they don't always do what I say, but that's gonna be the journey that they're gonna have to go on themselves. You can't be hovering over them. So like that was incredibly resonant for me. And we wanted, once Dom got kidnapped, to have the Tunes, particularly Bugs Bunny, be a proxy for Dom, and teach LeBron some lessons about, okay, I'm gonna be Looney always. And you can try to make me do something different, but I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be. And you should let me be who I'm gonna be, because that's the end, and at the end of the day, that's what wins them the game.
Yes.
So we wanted all that to resonate.
Well, I think it does. I think it does really well. You had a phenomenal cast of voice actors at your disposal, and I feel like you captured the vocal talent well. What was it like directing during a pandemic to get these performances out of Candy Milo as Granny, Eric Bauza as almost everybody, and Jeff Bergman as Bugs Bunny and Sylvester?
I tell you what, man, like what a joy to work with these voice actors. You listen to their tapes, their auditions, and you're like, wow, how does one person capture these voices like that? And in working with them, they always made me laugh. During those, I would be on in sessions just like this. They'd be in their in their homes, in their booths, and Candy in particular was just like, she as Granny was just so hysterical. She'd come up with all kinds of things. Same thing with Eric Bauza, Jeff also. They always made me laugh, and they would always be ready to do more. And so it was fantastic to work with them. I mean, what a treat for me. I wish I could have done it in person, obviously, but the great thing was it all translates.
And one final question. I had so much fun revisiting the Looney Tunes on the big screen. I was wondering if there were any deleted scenes or scenes that you wish that were still in the movie. And with HBO Max and the precedent that they've already established with Justice League and doing an extended cut, do you think we'll ever see an extended cut of Space Jam on the streaming service?
I don't know. I guess if the fans demand it, maybe. There is one scene that you know, at the end of the first half, the two is get into a fight with each other, and it was one of my favorite, you know, parts of the movie. It's so funny. You know, that what LeBron came up with, and what, you know, the animators came up with. It was just so hysterical, but you know, the movie couldn't afford it, and you know, we couldn't sustain it. So hopefully somebody will see that at some point. Maybe there'll be a director's cut, perhaps. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. And congratulations on the movie, and I hope it's really successful. I'm going to see it multiple times with audiences. I cannot wait for the audience reaction during some of these scenes.
Awesome.
And I also love that you incorporated the Bruce Timm style of the animated series in the DC world. Was that a creative choice from the beginning, or did that come on later?
No, we went back and forth, not back and forth, but we knew we were going to be bookending our Toon Gallery montage with DC, and we toyed with, you know, some live action part of it, but you know, it was going to be, you know, very, very costly, and you know, it would be a little bit of a nightmare. So we decided, okay, let's do the Bruce Timm's one, and then let's do the comic book version. That, you know, we said those would be two great, you know, bookends for this movie. Love DC, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. And one last question for you. When this is a fun one, when the characters turned CGI, was there ever any talks of making the human Looney Tunes into humans? So Granny and Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam.
Well, we did have this one. We had this one joke that you know, that was a part of our you know, one of the iterations of Al G's first interaction with the Tunes, which was, you know, predated, you know, some of the other things, but we actually had you know, Al G could turn them into, you know, photorealistic characters, like, you know, immediately, and he actually, you know, he made, you know, he made Yosemite Sam like, you know, like a mustache trim. He had, you know, Roadrunner actually turned into a real Roadrunner, and we had Granny turn into Helen Mirren.
Oh wow!
I mean, you know, that would have been fun to have.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Dealey, and I look forward to your future work, and I'll be rooting for this movie. So,
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.